Hey, how's it going, you guys? Welcome back to Peach Monkey, and I'm really thrilled to tell you these types of stories that I have going on. And the one that I wanted to continue talking about was my experience in El Salvador, because as I mentioned in the previous video, it was really life-changing for me. And I want to be able to look back on these and also show people what I saw at the age of 7, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Like when I saw that the lifestyle over there in El Salvador was completely different from how it was in America, literally changed my perspective on the world. It really helped me think outside the box. I became more analytical and more observant. So one evening, I'm already getting comfortable, getting ready to get my toys so I can go play outside in the dirt, because there's no such thing as sidewalk. Where we played was dirt, and I had a bucket of sand, and I had 2-3 toys that I brought from America. And if you ain't have those toys, your best friends were sticks and rocks. As a kid, trying to play with the toys in the sand, I'm also thinking of other things that I can use as materials to expand my imagination on where the toys are fighting or give them personality. So I decided to walk down towards the cornfield. When I walk down towards the cornfield, I look to the right and I see our neighbors. I don't know why this caught my eye, but I saw one of my neighbors. It was a little girl. She was taking a shower, but what was crazy was that her mom was bathing her without no curtains, without nothing to hide her little baby bits. It was literally a bucket she was standing in and a bowl. So her mom would take the bowl from the water, wash her body, scrub her, pour it on her. To me, that was weird. I didn't understand. I'm like, hold up. Why is your naked little bitty itties are outside? Why are they outside here? They should not be in public. And of course, I decided to walk back because I'm like, oh, I feel bad. She caught my eye, I caught her eye, and I was like, okay, I need to go. And when I saw that, I just didn't understand. Why was she bathing without her own privacy? I, on the other hand, we had a little curtain, but we didn't have a shower that you can pour from. Literally, it was on the outside. You move these plastics that was holding up on sticks. It was on sticks, and you would just pull it around, and then you would have to tie it so that it wouldn't open if it was windy, or so that no one could get through. And I had a big barrel just full of water. It's a big barrel, and they would get the water from a well, and literally that water was yours for a week. So I understood at that point that you bathe outside, but I didn't understand why she wasn't in private. So I go back home and I mentioned that to my grandma, Grandmama, why is she butt naked? I see 2 buns outside. And she's like, what do you mean why is she butt naked? I'm like, her buttocks, her little skins, her chest looks like my chest, and I shouldn't be able to see that. And my grandma told me that they didn't have enough money. And at that time, when you're 7, you think $1 is a lot of money, $2 is a lot of money. So I thought she meant oh, okay, they just didn't have enough money to just buy a shower curtain. But she meant literally they didn't have money to even go buy their own things to protect it. After that talk with my grandma, my thoughts just trailed off and I went on with my day. Probably around, let's say 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm playing outside and my grandma gives me a watermelon. She's like, oh, you want something to eat, Junior? I was like, yeah, definitely, hook me up, give me something. And she's like, I have some watermelon. She's like, here's your sandia. I'm eating my sandia and I have 3 or 4. When she gave me the watermelon, I'm just enjoying my time, eating my sexy fruit, and I go down the hill, and there you don't really have a trash can. You could kind of throw food pieces on the floor because animals can get it. So I would throw my watermelon shells down the hill thinking it was nothing. This is what really kind of broke my heart at a young age, and I couldn't believe it, because when I went back to the house after taking a walk, and I was by myself, I had no friends there, when you're the only guy that speaks English and you're trying to talk to them in English and you barely know how to speak Spanish, it's literally you and your imagination and your toys. So it's me and my baby Woody. So I go back home and I'm playing in the sand with my toys. I hear footsteps coming up the hill. And when I look to my right, it's my neighbor, the little girl. But what freaking got me was that she was holding the watermelon shells that I had. And she was literally eating off of them. And I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, yo, I really ate all this and it has dirt on it, and she is eating my leftovers. Like, why is she eating my leftovers? And in my head, I'm like, why can't you just go get your own watermelon? Like, why couldn't you buy one instead of eating the shells that I threw off? Being 7, I have so many questions. I'm like, what's going on? Like, why isn't she asking her mom to buy her watermelon? Because we think that our parents or family members, or I thought that it was something that they could get in a heartbeat, because I didn't understand the value of $1 during that time. But when my grandma said literally they had no money, she meant that they had no money. To even buy food, they weren't able to provide for themselves. It would either be other families that would donate something to them. Even the clothes on their body was donated to them by my grandma, by my grandma's son, by some of their friends down across the street. And it was, wow, I couldn't believe it. So I go back inside, I'm like knocking, like, or I tell her, I'm like, Grandma, the little girl from next door is eating our shell, like my shells that I ate. I was like, can we do something to help? And next thing you know, she cuts up the watermelon and she gives me the whole watermelon. Well, she gives me like half of the watermelon, cuts it in pieces so that I can go give it to her. As I'm going down the hill to go to her house, she looks at me and of course, she runs away. When she saw me, she dropped the shells on the floor, she ran and hid. But I was just like trying to talk to her in Spanish, but I couldn't get it right. So I looked at her, she looked at me, like I'm telling her, like, here's this watermelon that I have, take it for you and your family. And of course she looks at me and she's not saying a word, so I put it down on the floor, I go back, I run back up the hill. So I go up, I hit on the edge of the hill, and I look down, and she picks up the watermelon bowl, and she starts crying. Like, not like sound cries, but they were tears of, like, joy. And it was just amazing to see that, because, wow, I don't know how to... It was amazing to see that, because you don't think you can change someone's life by something so small. Like, you wouldn't think that something so small can be so meaningful to someone else. But for me to see her to be able to eat food that she wasn't able to get by herself, like, really taught me that you really should look out for others. At the same time, you are looking out for yourself, because you don't know what type of life experience that someone is going through. You don't know what is happening, and you may not understand. But what I wanted to do after that was take the time to understand why someone was living this lifestyle, what's going on, and what happened. And it made my day just to be able to see that person could eat a meal for the day that was not just someone's leftovers, not dirt from the floor. This really taught me to value everything I have, or everything that I've been given. You have to value those things, because they don't come easy. Like, you have to work for them. Some people don't even have these types of things. They don't even have what we have. But that just really taught me to look at others and see the world from their eyes.